Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Orange County Industrial Development Agency's Finance Committee meeting. The time now is 4:29. Bill, if you'll do roll call.
Yes, Mark Green.
Present.
Jeffrey Christ.
Here.
Linda Muller.
Here.
Dean Tamburri.
Here.
All four members are here. For staff, myself, Bill Fioravanti, Marty Barras, and Kelly Riley. Bill Iverson handling our live stream, our general counsel Lino Sciaretta, and our monitor Brian Sandage.
Fantastic. Notice of this meeting was properly provided,
Yes, sir.
so let's get to it. Again, I wasn't here last time, so I don't feel comfortable approving the minutes, but can I get a motion to approve the minutes from January 15th, please?
I'll make a motion.
Excellent. Second. Any questions, corrections, or discussions about those minutes? All right, then can I get a vote, please?
Aye.
To approve? All right, 3 yeses, 1 abstain.
Okay. Motion carries.
Let's go to new business. Shannon, enthrall us.
Okay, so for January for the IDA, there was a CD that matured that got, that earned $264,000 of interest. Out of the normal monthly expenses, things that just are a little above or different than what is expected from the budget would be your insurance. We had 2 policies that renewed, so your premiums are hitting there, and that's the $1,088. Professional fees for $325 is a public hearing expense, and that's not every month, so I just figured I'd point that out. And then down under memberships and events, that 5457, 5,000 of that is for the Public Policy Institute, and the remainder was for the monthly chamber expense.
I'll just remind you, that's that
All
economic
together.
blueprint that we supported the study.
Oh, yeah,
Thanks,
all right, so that was
The $5,000 towards that economic blueprint,
blueprint. Okay.
the
that we
report
discussed.
that's gonna be shared with legislators and such about ways to make New York more competitive.
Yeah, and what was the public hearing, 325?
Public hearing is for our UTEP, so it was a stenographer for that.
Yep, okay, thank you.
And as discussed in OCFC, the monthly rent was $85.93 due to the increase based on the lease agreement. So total expenses for the month of January were $60,666.65, and showing a net operating income of $203,677.26. Any questions on that?
Anything jump out?
No? Okay.
Thankful for those CDs, provide us nice revenue.
Sorry, what was that, Bill?
I've said we're thankful for the CDs, producing some nice revenue this
Yeah.
year, so it's been helped this past year.
Yeah. So if we go to the next page, it's the bank balances. So there was $742,000 in the operating account, $39,000 in the escrow account, and just shy of 8.6 in the CDs. Again, one is maturing next month. So a total of $9.3 million in cash and CDs.
All right, and again, we'll wait until our next meeting to discuss the CDs. I think we turn that over now to, right, Kelly? Is this you? Thank you.
I didn't want to take it away from you, Mark.
Oh, you're funny.
So, all of the expenses are pretty much the same for reoccurring. I wanted to bring to your attention, the First Columbia, there was a January rate increase of $823.25. That's why it shows a little bit over $8,000. And, we just spoke about it, but Fran Roth, who's the stenographer for the public hearing for the UTEP, the Gannett, New York, that's, our legal notices that we put into the newspaper. I believe this one is for the RFP for the Brownfield grant. Harris Beach is, Julie Marshall helping us with the Paris reporting and the training. The Hudson Valley Pattern for Progress was a roundtable. The KR cleaning is 2 months worth, it was January and February. In what Marty was talking about earlier, for the Orange County Industrial Development Agency, the 4,000, that was the escrow amount of money that we pulled out of the account to put into the escrow account because it was put into the IDA checking account in error. And the Martin Ware Group is the IT service that we've been getting from Micah.
It's a new firm that we hired a couple months ago, been doing, security review and, a few other things that we needed.
And Xerox and Zoltes is just a recurring.
Copier and phones.
So real quick, so the rent increased?
Yes.
Is what we're saying?
Yeah, with our new lease and, us taking over additional space. We weren't paying for this last year.
Right, yeah, we decided we were gonna pay for this, and then it kinda ends over there, right?
Correct, exactly. And we do, just by the way, I could mention this to the board as well, we have samples on carpet they've dropped off for us. It's really just up to us to decide what we want, and then they're gonna move forward with that. So the landlord has been diligent about responding to that.
Fantastic. Any questions so far? Okay. And the credit card,
Well, the two statements are behind that. The one for the MET and one for Vietnam, which is the Orange Energy Trust.
Kelly, I didn't look, but do you think the GoDaddy has already gone down? Do you have any idea? Just because we are eliminating some of that, it's what the IT guy is going through, making sure, because we had email services kind of through a third party, through GoDaddy and Microsoft, so we're kind of bypassing some of the middleman and saving some expenses there. I don't know if that's it
I mean,
yet.
I don't know, I mean, we did only have a couple of the GoDaddy amounts, so
Looks less to me, but.
it does look
yeah,
less, but
okay.
I don't know that part.
More to come on that, because we are still auditing all that internally.
all right. Any questions about any of that?
Not for me.
Linda, you look very pensive.
I'm good.
Okay. All right, then we can, move on from that. Motion to approve this with the board,
Exactly.
recommend to the board.
Second.
Any further discussions? In favor?
Aye.
4 ayes, no opposed. And let's talk about invoice payments again,
Yes,
because I enjoyed it the first time.
yes, good one. On it back.
You take it.
So same as we discussed in OCIDA, looking for your approval and ultimately the board, full board's authorization for me to okay payments up to $7,500 that come in. Anything above that, did we change the amount? Did we do 8?
You said eight.
Recommended to 8.
Up to $8,000 in order to cover rent and expenses like that.
Okay, let me ask you this question, I'm gonna cut you off, Bill, because I'm looking at this, and I'm seeing 7770. And then I'm seeing 823.25.
Yeah.
So is our new rent going to be, 8,500?
I was thinking
I was thinking the same thing when I saw that too. So I would say yes.
Yeah, I think you're right. Aren't we keeping, for the insurance purpose as well, as we talked about in the last meeting, are we keeping that recurring, the authorization for you to pay all recurring bills, which includes rent and insurance? So that kind of covers that piece?
I wasn't here last time,
I
so.
think you're
I mean,
paying all
this-
bills, not just
10 minutes ago.
recurring bill.
The 7,500 or 8,000 is all.
Yeah, I would recommend, like, what I would do, I mean, this is akin to, like, for example, other agencies, communities, like certain staff members, like for example, like I serve as town council and village council in other locations, they authorize me to settle up to certain level of amounts without going to the board, right? So that number could be, in some place, it used to be like 7,000, then increased to 10,000. So what I would recommend, whatever number you think would cover it, that you can do on your own without requiring board approval. Yes, the one-offs that you're gonna get, you're gonna have to come back here and get, you need a vote, you can't get around it, you can't spend money without that vote. But you can at least authorize at a number where he doesn't have to keep going back and coming into the situation. So I would definitely, recommend maybe increasing that amount to something that's closer to what your monthly expenses are. So if you know that rent is gonna be increased to 8 and change, and give yourself a little bit of a buffer for both OFC and IDA. Understanding that there'll be certain one-offs that the board's gonna have to approve anyway, but at least that you're not worrying about getting before the board, special meetings, you can just take care of it on your own, but as long as the board authorizes that increase.
9,000? Well, let me ask you, so does that come up with an issue regarding this insurance that, because the bill comes in, it has to be paid right away type of thing? I mean, that's the only other issue I see, so I don't know how you resolve that.
And just the ones that exceed $9,000 or $10,000, which is just,
Yeah, I mean,
most of them are.
If you can't wait for a meeting, I don't know what the procedure would be, if that's what you're telling me.
Can we be proactive when we know it's about due the month before? See if we can find out the number and pre-approve it?
The insurance, you should get your notices, I mean, for other, like agencies, you get your notices ahead of time, like I just got my own insurance bill, it's 30 days out,
Yeah.
maybe more. So
You would think, but I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, they do get it
They're
2 weeks.
creeping it, they're
Yeah.
creeping it now, I mean, I don't know what.
But if
the
they're
goal
creeping
is
it,
here.
then they should wait, I mean, obviously, in terms of payment, you gotta, something like that, you need authorization if it's a bigger nut than 8 or 9 or 10 grand. So, my point is, even calling our carrier, whoever it is, saying, listen, we need bills in a certain timely fashion, have them, so that, you're an agency, you need to vote on these expenditures, so they should understand that if they're insured, they should get it.
I would suggest this, we go to 9,000, and when it comes, the next time you get insurance, and if it's above 9,000, then I would ask you to call them up and tell them, like, we need
We have a
45
process.
days. We have a process, I can't just write checks.
Right.
And push back on them and, try to, understand that, I feel your pain, because my personal life, I see this as well.
Right.
Right, life insurance, I almost feel like they're trying to do it on purpose to screw me. Like, oh no, you missed your payment, you've been paying 30 years, but, you were 3 days late. So, can I ask you to do that?
Sure, I recall that we broached it with our local insurance agent, and they've kind of acted a little helpless, like this, it is what it is type of thing, but we could push that and then see if there's some dialogue with the carrier,
Well, then, let me
to
ask
seek
you
that.
this question.
Yeah.
Are we, are we married to this agent?
Yeah,
And if they can't, be
I know.
reasonable that
Yeah.
we're a business,
yeah.
and that we can't do things in 2 weeks, then, say, hey, look, then we're gonna shop this around.
Right,
And find somebody that we're gonna start the relationship knowing that we need 45 days to pay this particular bill.
we can definitely,
Because it's above our threshold, I need approval.
I'll have those conversations.
It makes sense to go out as well every so often.
Every so often.
Sure, it's been a while.
That's not a bad idea too. That's probably a good fiduciary move.
Okay, understood, we'll do that.
So, through all of this, I do want the rent covered though. I just,
That's monthly.
Yeah.
we know what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, so I would say the threshold is $9,000. Are we?
Motion.
Second. Aye.
Action,
It does
it's an
not.
action-oriented committee.
Any further discussion? All in favor of $9,000?
Aye.
Aye. None opposed.
Sold.
Tough crowd today.
And last item is RBT's proposal, we have discussed it, I don't know if there's any further, and we'll revisit the check cutting piece, but otherwise, these are our current rates from RBT.
Revisit check cutting and, I'm sorry, please.
Do they review any projects for us, finances?
They
Well,
do,
then-
that was the additional piece that Shannon's saying that she doesn't think should be
Yeah.
included in this proposal of hourly.
Hourly rate.
So
Yeah,
based upon.
so that's
whatever
gonna be
it
the
is.
same here is my question,
What's
for
gonna,
IDA.
The rates are on this.
the rates are, yes.
Yes.
Is that what you're
but
saying?
the project review.
So the project review will be
the
on
hour.
an hourly basis
Yeah,
based upon
but
page 2.
That's part of the IDA needs too, compared
Yes.
to the OCFC.
Absolutely.
Okay, yep,
Primarily, I would say.
yeah. I wasn't totally sure if we covered that somehow, otherwise in the IDA, but.
Mm.
And Shannon, I joked before, but if we're going to the hourly rate, I truly hope you make more money than doing a flat rate, because that means we are closing business.
Exactly.
So that would make me happy. Any other items, any other questions that anyone has, any proposals, nothing?
You're talking on today's agenda.
Correct.
I would just like to ask a question on Paris. Are we on schedule to meet the, I think it's the March 31st deadline?
We are. I will ask Kelly and Marty to chime in, not to put them on the spot, but they're the ones that are in the trenches with this, working closely with Julie. Marty sent out her long list of compliance letters and confirmation letters for that's how we collect most of that information. Marty, you wanna give a quick status update on how that's going?
Sure, Bill, of the 5 that I sent you that still had not submitted their confirmations for 2024, right now we're at 3 of them. 2 of them have submitted late, very apologetically, which happens every year. I don't know how we're gonna get around that.
Yep.
But everything looks, we've had to review these submissions with more of a fine tooth comb, because we don't know what we don't know, and Anshin has given us a lot of recommendations that are really helpful, so that I'm just not collecting information and throwing it out into the Dropbox and hoping for the best. Are actually going over the information that we're getting, pushing back if they're missing something, even if they didn't, indicate not applicable where necessary. But we're doing well. I think that right now it's up to Julie now to put that stuff into Paris.
Yeah, I'm looking at the naughty list now, as you said, I 4 on this list, and at least 2 of them I think are usual suspects for being stragglers with this, so.
Yeah.
And to Marty's point, because of Anshin's input, we have added to that confirmation letter, we're asking for more documentation of other things, as we should, based upon really what the expectations are. So I do think that's adding to the complexity of what they have to respond with, so I think it's a factor.
So Marty, everyone's looking at you. Kelly, I certainly don't want to exclude you. I don't know who's kind of running the ball.
They're both equally involved, but Marty puts together the confirmation letters and
So-
receives those.
When do those letters go out, Marty?
Up until the 2024 confirmations, I was sending them out in late December. These went out a little later, because we were going back and forth with the monitor, on how to be more specific, or how to request more specific information. So once the letter was reviewed and signed off on, using Anshin's recommendations, we waited until we got the letter exactly the way we needed to get it. So it went out a little later this time. And in fairness, most people don't get their NYS 45s until the 31st of January, so we made the 7th of February the cutoff date. Mostly everybody submitted February the 7th and February the 14th. And then the last 2 that I expected, I got this week, and then we just have the 2 that are usually outstanding.
All right. So from what I'm hearing, there's not really a bottleneck on our end. I mean, like, we can only send letters out so early. If people don't get their information from New York State until January 31st, I mean, we can send stuff out in October, November, it's not gonna make a difference. So, all right, so I just wanted to see if there was something that we could have been more efficient at.
What we did, so February 7th is that deadline, but we did last year, you may recall, the board authorized or approved us being able to levy a fine if they don't meet
I was gonna say,
for the deadline. And that's a little later, 28th of February, something like that. So I do have my naughty list, and it comes to me to call on people and make, as the CEO, saying, hey, we haven't received this, so. But then if they don't follow up, then I threaten that fee. Not to mention possible recapture of their benefits, but we hope to not go there. Marty?
The fee is actually threatened in my reminder letter.
Right, that's right.
And that goes out late January, so that's when they start to kind of get it together and, send them, and the deluge begins, but the bottleneck, is typically not on our side.
One related question, do I remember the board needing to approve that final report before
Yes.
it's sent in?
Absolutely.
And our meeting date, will that be a feasible date for the approval, or
I doubt it.
I recall having to do something special?
So you have to look at the financial audits that they're working on right now, and the audit committee meeting will be March 5th, I think, if I'm not
Right,
mistaken.
audit committee, true.
And then hopefully they're gonna have a draft that day for you guys to review, and then if any changes need to be made, then they'll come back on the 19th, or I think it's March 19th.
Yes.
The board meeting, and hopefully you'll approve the financial committee, or the financial audit, because we need the financial audit in order to put it into Paris.
And then do we still have to approve the final Paris separately?
Yes. You approve
And
that
I
every
mean-
year? Yes,
So that's not gonna happen on the 19th.
which is.
Probably not, because unless unless the audit committee approves the financial audit on the 5th.
Okay.
But then I think it has to go to the whole board anyway, right?
It does.
For the financial,
Let's check with Julie on time.
yeah.
The report is usually prepared much longer than a few days ahead of the
Yeah,
deadline.
yeah.
So this is about 11 days, I think, from the submission date from our board meeting. But let's talk to
Okay,
her about
thank
the
you.
timing of that.
That's helpful.
Great question.
I mean, she's all along since probably early December, we've been feeding her information for that
Right.
Paris reporting. So she's been inputting stuff into Paris since then.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I know it's, again, if we're waiting until February 20th,
Yeah.
February 28th, and now we have to turn around and create this all in less than a month.
Right.
Yeah.
Does it require signatures from board members, right?
I don't think so,
No,
just.
Bill will
Okay,
have to
so it's just another
certify.
timing thing, depends on what to sign, right, for what, that's all.
Let us check on that timing and report back to you on that.
Yeah,
Between the meetings.
let me ask you a question. I mean, maybe it makes sense to potentially move that Wednesday the 5th to a little bit closer to the, later in the month, closer to the full board. You know what I mean? I'm just trying to think of how we can.
The auditors, or the finance auditors would be happy with that,
Right.
because they've got a tight schedule.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm listening to this and it's like, this is almost impossible. All right, let's,
I think the timing is tighter this year, given that.
please.
So the financial statement has to have all the project data in the back of the financial statement as a supplemental schedule anyway. So most of this stuff should be done by the time that they come to you with the draft.
Okay,
So I think timing wise, if they have it ready for the 5th, then you're in good shape, because everything is probably set at that point.
okay, if that's what you think.
And I've reached out to Melissa, who's the lead of this finance audit, and I told her our dates, and she's well aware of them.
Okay, well, look, you did it great last year. I'm just asking questions, ask questions. Let's, you guys run with this and you'll make it happen, I'm sure. So whatever you need from us, you let us know, okay?
Very good.
All right. Any other questions, sir?
No.
Anyone else have any comments, questions? Then can I get a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're out of here.
Thank you.
Terrific.